Hello and welcome to the very first edition of Wildcats Weekly, presented by Armored Roofing. I am Ben Horner, the voice of the Wildcats. Very pleased that you're joining us, and joining me to my left is Wildcats head coach John LaFontaine. A lot of stuff to get to, John, here in our first edition of our weekly sit-down. A preseason game last Saturday, a whole season ahead of us, and of course the big game on Saturday with Pack the House Night. We'll get to all of it, but first, John, thanks for joining us. And it's your first year back in junior since 2006, 2007. What emotions are you experiencing with the season just around the corner?
Well, it's a whole different production, obviously, a whole different game than where I've been at. It's longer games with a lot more ice cuts and a lot more happening and a lot quicker pace than the last 7 years, but I'm excited to be back.
Of course, John, referring to the Bantam level, he was most recently at Shattuck St. Mary's, coaching the Bantam team there, an elite prep school in Faribault, Minnesota. And for those who have not played hockey or have not been around it for a long time, what are some of the differences, aside from the age level and the time of the periods, that one could expect from the Bantam group, which is 14 and under, to the junior group, which is 16 to 20?
You know, there's not as much as you would think as far as trying to get your team to come together, try to get them to play as a team, as a unit. Playing at a faster pace. It's just accelerated because the game is faster. A lot more work away from the puck when you don't have the puck, similar to basketball or soccer. It's so much more important what you're doing away from the puck or the ball that allows you to play at the faster pace. And so it's the same. You're still getting guys to work harder, think quicker, play at a faster pace, move their feet quicker, but it all starts with thinking quicker and moving off the puck.
Now, of course, you do have experience at the junior level, John, having coached the Bozeman Ice Dogs, a Tier 2 team that competed in the AWHL and then in the North American Hockey League following the Tier 2 merger before the 2003-2004 season. Transitioning from juniors to Bantams back to juniors, what can you take from that Bantam experience that might help you that you didn't know in your first spell at this level?
Well, before Bozeman, I also was with juniors and college, so that was mainly juniors and college before I got to Bozeman. So I would say that the difference right now is the game is a little faster than it was 7 years ago when I was back in juniors. The game is a little quicker. Everybody seems to skate better. Skating is a priority for the players you're looking at for your team, and so because of that, the pace is quicker, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the players think the same or read the ice the same. They're moving better, they're moving faster, but getting them to read off each other quicker and know what they're going to do ahead of time is still the key.
Would you say that the talent pool is a little bit deeper now, or is it really just the skating that stands out to you as a big difference?
It's similar. It could be, if anything, it's a little better. If anything, it's a little bit deeper. There's stronger players at each position. Still find at the North American League that defensemen are at a premium. It's the hardest position to play because the game's gotten so much faster and quicker. They got to make the toughest decisions, the toughest reads, and the toughest critical parts of the ice. So you got to develop defensemen, and if you're blessed to have a top four to start this year, and you got to develop the others to be ready for that.
Is there any aspect of being back in the junior game that you're particularly excited about?
Just a challenge again to try to help these older players reach their goals and to get them to understand, more than just hockey. Obviously, that it's more than just hockey, but getting them to understand that some of the life lessons in sports are awesome. So they're older, they got a little bit more pressures, they got a little more sense of urgency, and so I'm excited about that challenge.
I want to talk for a moment about player advancement. Wildcats in the last few years and over their history have a strong track record. 7 players on the current roster with Division I commitments. For your part, almost 100 former players have gone on to play professionally or at the Division I level. Combining those two things, what do you see going forward for player advancement in Wichita Falls?
Well, there's obviously the 7 players that are already committed. It's exciting for them, and they're working differently than the others that are trying to get that scholarship. They're working to help their teammates to continue to develop, help them get their scholarships, and then, of course, themselves develop to be ready to play at the college level, which is, again, faster, bigger, stronger. So it's the goal is obviously to help them all reach their dreams of playing Division I, and then from there it's a bonus if they get to play pro. But we have some good young players that I think fairly quickly, we think fairly quickly in the first couple months are probably going to get some attention from some college scouts and possibly be some early commitments in addition to those 7. And, so it's getting the 7 that are committed to help the other guys out and get them all to gel and play at a faster pace.
Of course, the Wildcats haven't even dropped the puck on the 2014-15 campaign, and they already have one Division I commitment this year. If you missed it on Monday, Eric Yeager, forward from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, became the 4th current Wildcat to commit to the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, continuing that trend there of Wichita Falls and the Air Force Academy. And just to round out that list, that's Matt Cook, Evan Oakley. You've got Kevin Sherazin and Eric Yeager heading to the Air Force Academy. Dan LaFontaine committed to Canisius, as well as Austin Beaulieu and Cam Knight committed to the University of Alabama, Huntsville. And just there you see in the names of those schools, there's a nice diversity of the type of player and the type of school that are looking at the Wildcats.
Yeah, and we'd love to see some, like last year it was great to have University of Michigan at Piazza, and that's awesome. And Division I is Division I. If you start saying, "Oh, we got to have Big Ten commits," or "We got to have North Dakota commits," yeah, it's the goal for these kids to have options and to have more than one school looking at them and help them reach their goals and their dreams there. And we certainly have players that are more than capable of being able to play at the next level.
Yeah, we'll certainly be watching for more news on that front down the pipeline. As you mentioned, a couple of guys who are big on the radar of some college scouts right now, so we'll have to keep an eye out on that as the season progresses. But I want to transition now, John, as we're here on Wildcats Weekly, presented by Armored Roofing. Let's take a look at training camp. The guys have been in town for a little over 2 weeks now. How have the preparations for the season been progressing in that time?
Really good. We didn't get on the ice till Thursday evening, so we've had a little over a week and a half now of on the ice, and which has been good. And the guys, the leadership has been great. The veterans kind of created a culture where the younger kids came in, were accepted, and you can see a lot of insecurities in the younger guys, some lack of confidence to play at this pace, to play with the competitiveness. And they didn't try to intimidate them or make them feel like they weren't worthy. They instead tried to put their arms around them and say, "Listen, you'll adjust. You'll adjust to the bigger player and being able to protect the puck better, being able to make quicker decisions." So it's getting the younger players' compete level up to the level that they know it needs to be successful at this level.
You mentioned the culture there. Obviously, there's 8 returning players carrying over from the previous head coach, Paul Baxter, now the team president and general manager. What defines the culture that you would like to see at this Wildcats organization?
Well, that's it. I mean, it's not me. It's understanding that especially hockey, you can't do it by yourself. You have to utilize your teammates. You have to rely on your teammates. You have to read off your teammates, and a lot of times you get to this level and you get players from each team that were the stronger players. They were the go-to guys. All of a sudden you get to the junior level, and then of course it changes again at the college level. All of a sudden that player that was the power play specialist and leading scorer on one team all of a sudden might be more of a role player for us, or his strengths aren't quite quick enough or fast enough to be able to be the dominant point getter or the dominant go-to guy on a power play type of thing. So they got to adjust. So a lot of players are going through some soul searching about how they can fit in. Do I fit in? Am I good enough? And we have a lot of capable players, and now we got to get them to understand that compete level and then get them to believe in themselves.
Has there been a healthy competition among the players on the team? There's 25 in camp They all know that the team has to be down to 23 by October 1st. Has it been something where they're all taking it in stride, pushing each other to be better?
I think the competition has been there. I think probably in training camp up to this week, maybe it's been less about the competitiveness, more about learning how we want to play, the style of game we want to play, and the type of game we want to play. And now the competitiveness is starting to see. We probably had our most competitive practice today, and it will. The goal is that it only gets higher intensity, the work level, and the pace of practice is higher.
Let's turn our attention back to Saturday. First preseason game, your first opportunity to be behind the bench with this group of players as the Wildcats went down to North Richland Hills to take on their local rivals, the Lone Star Brahmas. First of 2 preseason tilts. The second will be Wednesday evening, 7 o'clock start. What takeaway was there from your first time behind the bench with this group of players? Obviously, you had been with them at camp and in practice in the first few weeks here, but it doesn't really compare to actually getting in a game setting with the group.
Right. Positives are that we saw that we have the size and speed and strength for sure to be strong at this level. We looked a little lost defensively. We chased the puck a little bit, which some of that was expected. A lot of players are adjusting to how we want to read the ice and how we want to angle and how we want to forecheck and how we want to defend. And so we gave up a lot of odd man rushes. You can't do that and have success. It made Lone Star look pretty good in some areas because of that, but that's not a huge surprise. We're learning new systems and learn how to play as a unit and play together. And there'll be improvement already tomorrow. We just want to get a little better every week.
Mentioned running around a little bit. Had some trouble with the breakout. Passes weren't the crispest. Is it fair to say that there were some nerves running through some of the team?
Yeah, I think it was nerves. I think a lot of guys were intimidated a little bit at first, and some of that's to be expected. But getting these first couple out of the way will help them.
8 players on this Wildcats team who have yet to play a junior game heading into this year, coming straight out of either the prep ranks or the midget major ranks, i.e. U18 in the USA hockey lingo. And John, what kind of step is that from the midget major level, from the prep level to junior hockey?
It's a huge step, and I think it's only getting bigger for the midget AAA players. The midget AAA isn't quite as strong as it used to be. Players that are higher end are leaving a little bit earlier. There's a lot of junior opportunities, a lot of junior options, but especially to our level, to the Tier 2, and then again to the next level, it's faster. There's more adjustment. The players are stronger. They have less time. So saw a lot of guys with a little bit of fear in their eyes after the first period, realizing that, okay, I got some training, some development to do to be able to adjust to this.
Do you lean on the veterans to help that along?
For sure, and they've been great. The veterans have more than done their part, and you always want them to accelerate right now, but it just doesn't happen. It's going to be a weekly process, and I expect our fans to see improvement every game.
You mentioned improvement. Obviously, the Wildcats will have one more preseason game Wednesday, September the 10th. That's actually going on right now if you're listening to this on 94.9 KOLI, The Outlaw. Let's look ahead to this weekend, though, John. It's the regular season opener against the Odessa Jackalopes. It's going to be a huge crowd here, probably the biggest crowd that many of these players have ever played in front of, with the nerves of their first junior game, with the excitement and adrenaline of playing in front of a large building like this. How do you manage the emotions?
The mental side of the game is huge. The mental side of staying focused and not being discouraged and put your mistakes aside. We're trying to get them to just focus on the process, focus on all the little things, having your stick down and angling and being ready. Being ready. A lot of them have a tendency to lift up and take a rest during their shift, and there's no time for that because next thing you know, your man's beating you, or you should have been beating your man, or you should have been ready for a pass or a play or a shot. So just getting them to understand the work ethic that it takes and focusing on that, and hopefully they'll get their first shift out of the way and get caught up in the game instead of instead of the pressure of the crowd.
Mentally, a solid first shift can be a big lift for a player, can it not?
It can, for sure. I mean, these kids, we're not quite there. Obviously, we're not there for our pace of practice, where it's going to be the pace of a game, and that's our goal. Our goal is to practices, the pace is higher than the game, and then the games become easier. Right now, we're not there, and so the games are going to be a step up.
What expectations do you have for Saturday's contest? It's an Odessa team that has a new look, new head coach. They're a team that has Division I talent on it as well. 6 commitments for the Jackalopes heading into the year. Second in the league, too, for Wichita Falls Wildcats with 7. What do you expect out of Odessa, John?
I think this division is going to be competitive every night. Competitive every night. Stronger players down here, a little bit more size down here in this division. And so our players have to continue to elevate their competitiveness, their compete level. And I think as they get better defensively, we'll have more success. It all starts, you don't want to spend all your time on defense. You want to spend your time with the puck. And the guys getting them to understand that and buy into that, because a lot of them were very strong offensively. Now they got to learn to be strong defensively and quicker defensively so that we can play our game.
Certainly a greater emphasis at the junior level of playing a two-way game, both sides of the puck, a full 200-foot game, as Paul Baxter liked to describe it last year. And that is something that you saw some of the rookies last year really start to develop and thrive in. Most notably, you think about a guy like Evan Oakley powering down the right wing. He's really looked good in the early stages of this season, along with returners like Colin Staub, Nick Farmer, Jake Townsend, and Matt Cook along the blue line. And you mentioned the defense, John. Matt Cook and Jake Townsend are going to be 2 real cornerstones for you this season.
Yeah, for sure. Both of them are smart players, played at this level, and their leadership back there to help our D-core is huge. And there's going to be a lot of pressure on them early in the season. But they've handled it. They've handled it well, and they have taken time to help their counterparts, their D-core, and they know they got to take leadership in their D-core, and it's such a vital part of the game here at this level, at every level. It only gets more vital as you move up. The defenseman's role is elevated.
They're certainly going to be relied on Saturday. Pack the house night. Every single ticket is free when the Wildcats open the 2014-15 season against the Jackalopes. You can head to the KYC box office to grab your ticket anytime during normal business hours. You can also get tickets the day of the game, or if you have a group reservation, contact us in the Wildcats office to get 15 or more seats together. John, after this game, it gets no easier for the Wildcats. It's a day off, and then it's right on the bus up to Blaine for the annual league showcase, a grueling gauntlet of 4 games in 4 days. And there's no favors for the Wildcats with the schedule this year. A quick look at it. Defending Robertson Cup champions, the Fairbanks Ice Dogs, on Wednesday. Minnesota Magicians, a revamped team, new coach up there as well. Minnesota Wilderness, a playoff team from last year. Michigan Warriors, a Robertson Cup semifinalist from last year. So the Cats are going to have their work cut out for them, aside from it just being 4 games in 4 days.
Well, and that's probably the difference also with the younger players is there's no nights off. There's no 8-0, 9-0, 7-0 games where you can play poorly, just show up and win. It's every game. If you're not ready to play and compete hard, then whoever you're playing is going to make you look silly. So that's going to be the big adjustment every night. So we're going to get 4 in a row there, and I think it's going to be a great test and a great start. Everybody's starting the season the same way. So I guess it's grueling because you're playing 4 games, but I think we'll adjust quickly to getting up there early. We're getting up there nice and early, and we play at different times. Guys are going to have to adjust to that, but every team has the same type of schedule, so there's no excuses. We're all going to be battling the same. Whether Saturday will be 2 teams just trying to hold on or not, we'll see what kind of shape we're in.
This is your first league showcase in quite some time. Are you looking forward to getting back there?
I am. It's fun. It's fun. You get to see all the teams. You get to scout the teams. You get to watch to see what teams are coming out of the chute strong. You get to evaluate how much work and development has to go on for your team to be one of those teams, if not already.
Saturday, by the way, that game against the Michigan Warriors. A little breakfast hockey for you. 9:15 a.m. start to that one. Actually, helpful on the back end for the Wildcats as it's a long ride back from Minnesota. So we'll be done and dusted there in Blaine by early afternoon. All right, let's make it a bit more fun here, John. A little bit of quick fire, non-Wildcats related stuff. Coke or Pepsi?
Neither, but Coke would be the preference.
Rangers or Astros?
Rangers.
Longhorns or Sooners?
Longhorns.
Ford or Chevy?
Dodge.
Not the first.
Grew up in a Chrysler family. Chevy.
You know, you're not the first one to go with the Dodge when asked that question. Favorite hockey game you've coached or played in?
Oh, wow. Probably the Robertson Cup last year, juniors that we were in and played the championship game.
2006-2007 with the Bozeman Ice Dogs, a record-setting year for the Ice Dogs as well. Favorite hockey memory from a game you weren't involved in, either as a fan in the stands or watching someone in your family play, perhaps?
A memory that will never erase my mind is first time getting to Madison Square Garden, watching my brother with the Islanders against the Rangers. Probably 10 things happened in the stands that were a learning lesson, and I'll never forget. Those Ranger fans are something else.
The upper deck of Madison Square Garden can be a zoo. That's for sure.
That's where we were.
Last one. What other sports aside from hockey do you follow?
I follow a lot of. I like college football. I like college basketball. I watch pro football. Of course, I said hockey. I like to follow golf a little bit, and I got to follow my Detroit teams in baseball. I probably really like pro basketball versus college basketball. I haven't watched pro basketball in too long. I watched the finals a little bit. I like San Antonio, but for the most part, it would be those sports.
A few plugs and promos to get to before we step aside here. Obviously, we've mentioned it a few times. Saturday, September 13th, 7:05 start time. It's packed the house night. Every single ticket is free. So tell everyone you know, get yourself down to the KYC and bring the whole family out. It's sure to be a great evening of entertainment. We've got the brand spanking new video board here as well, and we're sure going to be putting it to good use. Another free game for you potentially on Friday, September the 22nd, when the Wildcats return home after the league showcase in Blaine, Minnesota. Friday, September 22nd. Get free admission when you purchase an advance ticket for Falls Fest on September the 27th. Purchase your advance ticket, head to the KYC box office with proof of purchase, and you'll get a free ticket for Friday night's game. Another thing to let you know about here in September, Skate into Scouting, September the 27th. We're real excited for this event here. New this year, the Wildcats are teaming up with the Northwest Texas Council, Boy Scouts of America. From 9 to 11 on Saturday the 27th, Scouts will have the opportunity to earn their Bobcat badge. After that, each Scout will receive a free ticket to that afternoon's game, while parents can take advantage of a buy one, get one offer. For more information, visit the Northwest Texas Council Boy Scouts of America website online. One other thing to mention on that game, puck drop is at 1 p.m., a rare matinee of Wildcats hockey here in Wichita Falls. One last reminder before we step aside here on Wildcats Weekly. All Wildcats games this year will be broadcast on fasthockey.com, including those 4 games in Blaine, Minnesota. So when the Cats are on the road, you still don't have to miss a second of the action. John, thanks so much for joining us on the first edition of Wildcats Weekly. We'll have you back on as the season progresses. This will be a weekly sit-down as we'll introduce more features, more player reviews, and other fun things throughout the season. Until then, for John, I'm Ben, saying thanks so much for joining us on Wildcats Weekly, presented by Armored Roofing.